I'd like to call to order this regular council meeting of Wednesday, July 17, 2013. Welcome to folks in the crowd and welcome to everybody in the internet land. And first item on the agenda. Any additions or deletions to the agenda? Councillor Solo?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
Councillor Brush?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
Councillor Hamilton?
I have nothing, Your Worship.
Councillor Hugh?
I just have one thing. One of the residents asked me to bring up Hillview Drive.
Okay. Councillor Rempel?
Nothing for me, Your Worship.
Administration?
We have three items. We have three items: standard long-form development agreement, aquatic center roof repair, replacement, and Wheatland fire district. And that's it, Your Worship.
Thank you. Someone like to motion with the additions, please?
I'd like to move the agenda as amended.
All in favor? Carried. 4-1 adoption of the July 3rd, 2013 regular council meeting.
Your Worship. Just in regards to 8.1, 8.2 of those minutes of July 3rd, there was Councillor Best expressed some concerns about the circumstances surrounding those motions and read a statement, and I responded with a prepared statement of my own, and I feel that it's appropriate that they be included in those minutes, so I would request that be done.
Yeah, that administration. Thank you. So, with the amendment.
I move adoption of those minutes with the amendment.
Thank you. You all heard the motion. All in favor? Carried. Delegation. Excuse me. Mr. Andrew Mack. Page 9. See here. As council wanted, can we bring it back if it comes later, council?
Sure.
Thank you. 5-2 Calgary Kart Racing Club, page 27.
Good evening.
Welcome.
Good evening. Thank you. Hello. Brought a couple copies of the slideshow we want to get.
Okay.
There's 4 there. Thanks. Well, we had these expression of interest drawn up for a similar bid on another property, but that's a good one.
Okay.
Some supplementary information.
Thank you. Go ahead.
Okay.
And state your names and.
I'm John Kwong, president of the Calgary Kart Racing Club.
I'm Nathan Bartley. I'm secretary of the club.
We've put together a short PowerPoint presentation sort of to explain who and what we are and what we would like to bring to your community. Sorry. There we go. Okay, so just some background about karting. It was developed in the late 50s. Calgary Kart Racing Club's been around about that same amount of time. We started out on parking lots with getting permission to set up and race on empty parking lots prior to when Sunday shopping started. Later we got permanent facilities when they were available. One of those was Kart Gardens by the Calgary Airport as one of these facilities. Our present facility is located just southwest of Shepherd on 68th Street, next to the Calgary Waste and Recycling landfill. Unfortunately, right now our lease is coming to an end. We were on a 2-year extension, and we are done at the end of this year. So we've been actively seeking a new location. This is a graphic. You can see the track on the bottom right is our location. You can sort of see it relative to what Race City's size of their facility was. We use much smaller vehicles, so we require a much smaller track. This is a close-up of our facility as it stands right now. These are some Google Earth Street View images, just to give you an idea how we keep our facility. We keep the grass cut, garbage taken care of, sort of like a park-like setting. We've done many upgrades over the years to bring it up to the facility that it is today. We've been there for 13 years now. We've maintained a good working relationship despite several challenges since our initial construction in 2001. Our facility access point has changed because they closed 68th Street. Residential homes have been built closer. Ray City is now closed and has been completely eradicated for the most part. Our flexibility through the years and these challenges has shown success where ultimately Ray City failed. With the proposed future location, we would like to begin another good relationship, wherever we end up. If it is with the town of Strathmore, certainly we want to develop a support system with local businesses so that it's a favorable relationship for both. Some of the things we've done over the years is donating to Stars Air Ambulance. We've hosted charitable events. We do bottle donations of what we gather on our race days to the Boy Scouts troop. We've donated our track facility to the University of Calgary Formula SAE team, as well as their solar car has used our facility this year. We plan on continuing this by working with either the town of Strathmore or whoever we make a partnership with, offering the facility for charitable events or community fundraising events. We have several different user groups that use our facility. It would sort of become a tourist attraction, I think, but it's different than, say, what you would see going through British Columbia. We aren't a rental cart facility, so we aren't the sort of stop off and the family does their thing with the go-karts. We are by appointment only. We're a club-run facility, that kind of scenario. There may be some summer job opportunities for local youth. Different support of local businesses would translate into gas, food, beverage sales, restaurant. If we hold larger events, it would be hotels, that kind of thing. A lot of our larger events bring close to 150 entrants. Traffic and noise concerns are first and foremost sometimes when you let a motorsports facility into the community. 90% of our facility users are Calgary residents, would be approaching on Trans-Canada Highway, so major thoroughfares. Attendance at events would be upwards of about 60 vehicles, and these generally arrive, we have all-day events, so they arrive before 9 a.m. in the morning and sort of leave en masse 4 to 5 p.m. in the afternoon. Our noise level that we abide by right now is the City of Calgary noise bylaw, which is 96 decibels. We are well within those limits. And right now we don't have any noise abatement ways of taking care of any of the noise, because we have neighbors who are far enough away it's not a problem, but there are ways such as earth berms, more landscaping, and so on. It's a summertime only kind of venue. We run 12 one-day events, test and tune access on Tuesday and Thursday evenings typically. And our other user groups also hold one-day events, coming in about 9 weekend events and 20 weekday evening what we call test and tune events. What we're looking for is something in the neighborhood of 15 to 20 acres of reasonably flat land, but as you know, not floodplain these days. Some of the concerns we have are to do with stormwater management, decent access to main roads, and actually the only utility that we need is electricity. So we would be looking for either a lease or another term is a license of occupation for 20+ years if possible. This was just taken from Google Earth, and I superimposed a potential location near the just off of George Freeman Trail and Slater Road, next to the Blackwater Lagoon ponds. I believe that's what they are. Now, I wasn't aware of which land was available, so this was just sort of an example of what could be done. Currently, we have about 150 members in our club. There's 400 members in the Alberta Mini Road Racing Club. The Motard Club also uses our facilities. There are about 25 members. We also have Allenberg Racing Schools, which brings in thousands of people each year. Also Fast Track Motorcycle Safety School, which would probably come with us as well. And they also have thousands of people coming through. So right now, general budget of what we expect to spend, we have about half of what we need for constructing a new facility. Depending on what you want to do with the rest of the area around there to make it more of an attraction or recreational area, these are some of the ideas that could be thrown around, or suggestions. Did you have any questions?
Thank you very much. First off, that piece you showed us, you'd have to move it over to the east. That's not our land.
Oh, okay.
Am I correct? Am I correct?
That's correct.
Yeah.
So I wasn't
It's just
sure.
one road over, just to the next, whatever it says 200 meters.
Yeah.
That's
So-
where,
On the east side of that George Freeman Trail.
yes,
Yes.
yeah.
Oh, okay.
Questions from council? Go ahead.
Could you switch just back to the second last slide? Yeah, that part. So when you list those, are you mentioning that the track part could be used for things like cross-country skiing? Or are we looking at areas around the land that you guys would have if you did it?
Another location that we were investigating had excess land, more than what we needed, and they had a preliminary sort of, artist's conception drawing of what could be done with the land. And we thought, well, we want to work in conjunction because we're only seasonal. So if people had access to cross-country ski or whatever that wasn't going to damage what we had put there, we wouldn't mind. I mean, it's if it benefits everybody, that's all the better.
Okay, thanks.
Council Ramble?
Yeah, through the chair. Now, you're talking about 15 to 20 acres.
Yes.
Now, would you be leasing this land, or what would the intentions be?
Some of the other locations that we've investigated, and that's why I mentioned a license of occupation, because one of them was the City of Calgary land that was redesignated from municipal reserve, and they said they couldn't give us a lease, but they could give us a license of occupation. And for nonprofits, they had a special rate for that, so that the benefit of us being there outweighed what they could get in a lease. Essentially, it was a facility that they were getting at no cost to the taxpayer, but getting all the benefit of people and traffic and so on.
Now, would this have to be off of a paved highway, or would you require paved roads all the way to the facility, or?
No, gravel road is fine to the facility.
And the track itself is a
Pavement.
paved track,
Yeah,
and
this is
did
asphalt.
you incur the expense of paving it?
Yes. All the development of the facility and
And
what
is
we
it-
need and what you see here
Is the grandstand?
was born. Yes. When we built this facility, we had basically no assets at the time. We had cash in the bank that we made from fundraising, but we didn't. And over the years, these are some of the improvements we made. We had grandstands donated to us, ATCO building, CCAN, storage and scoring tower, fencing we paid for. Like I say, the big ticket was to get the land commitment and then get the asphalt down, and we build from there.
So how many summer jobs do you figure this would create for Strathmore?
1 to 2 at this point. We're not sure exactly, what would entail exactly. It depends what kind of operation we can put in. We're looking at expanding to having some rental carts, but they would be on appointment only. It's not a drop-in kind of thing. So more corporate carting. We'd need people to handle that kind of thing.
I always find it interesting. I used to watch them when you guys were up at the airport there.
Yeah.
And I always thought it would be fun to get involved with that sport. But
There's nothing like it, I'll tell you.
I'd sure like to see you guys be able to locate to Strathmore.
We have about half of our racing season left. If there's anyone of you that are available to come into Calgary, we have what we call a tri-cart program. And so the club has their own carts. Like most of us, Nathan and I, we own our own equipment, but the club has their own equipment that we use for these tri-cart events to bring the public. And that might be another employment opportunity as well. But once you've had a ride, your viewpoint of this changes significantly.
Very good, thank you.
You race tanks or semis for big guys like me?
We make all sorts of size seats.
Okay.
Yeah.
Other Rocky?
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the chair, you mentioned where you are now. You have residential nearby or close by?
We can see houses. They can't hear us though.
They can't hear you, eh?
No.
And this goes from 9 in the morning till steady till 5 in the afternoon?
Yeah, basically. We run different classes.
And the noise is not a problem?
No, the sound level of modern day carts is it does not carry as far as you would think. There's 2 facilities in Western Canada right now. One is in Chilliwack, and they have, I think I'm not even sure how many units in the complex, but it's a very large townhouse complex. And we did a Google measurement. I've been to this track many times. And the townhouses are literally 90 meters from the edge of the track. And in Saskatoon, which is another popular facility that we go to, clear line of sight, no earth berm, nothing, 200 meters.
Yeah, no, sounds good. I'd like to see you guys try and get something going out here too. I think you're in my shop this afternoon, so we can arrange a donut thing.
Conflict of interest. I'm excited. I'd ask you to pursue that with administration, see what we can do. What was the terminology you used that Calgary didn't lease it? They what?
For the municipal reserve land, it's called a license of occupation.
We have such a thing? Oh, okay.
And is there a special rate for nonprofit, per se?
Now,
when I say that, I'm referring to City of Calgary's license of occupation rate is like next to free. It's almost a administration cost more than anything.
Just don't know if that's MR.
Through the chair, you mentioned you need power at the facility.
We would take care of that.
And,
Getting
okay.
it to the
You
facility.
would have your own meter.
Oh, for sure, yeah. Yeah, we don't want to be a burden on anybody. It's just getting the land thing. That's been our biggest obstacle.
do we have power down in that area, Jesse?
There's an Ultralink substation that's right there. I'll have to look into individual servicing.
To go farther south, though, where they're talking, yeah.
Even where we are now, there are power lines along 68th Street, which is that road along the bottom there, and we had to put a transformer in so that we had power back in the day. But we don't have sewer or anything. We do rely on porta potties, and electricity is really our only dependence.
But I thought we had a pump down there or something we could pull off of.
We have, yeah, our lift station is down there, so there is access to power. That the site across the road would be serviced. We have to service taken to that site, but it wouldn't be difficult. There's power lines that run east-west on the quarter section.
Yeah.
Any other questions, council? I mean, I'm encouraged I'd say pursue this with the administration.
Okay. I came out on the weekend. Just, from Google Earth, you think you have access to sort of get down there and at least see the land. And from George Freeman Trail, you sort of run into the farmer's gate there. And then, of course, through Slater, you can only go as far as where the plant begins. Is there any other way to get back there? Or?
Well, the administration has the key. They can take you there anytime
okay.
you want to. Just talk to them about it. They'll get you right down to the site.
And there might be alternative sites as well.
Okay.
That administration might want to show you.
Typically, we kind of see ourselves as having to, because of our budget. I mean, we're going to spend probably just over $1 million on this facility. It's one of those things you got money, but you don't have money to buy land and build. That's why we look for situations like this. And we know we're not getting the greatest land, or it's challenged in some way that no one wants to build residential or commercial, or it has bad access or that kind of thing. And that's sort of where we fit in.
Well, I hope we can help you out.
Okay.
Liability insurance, what about that? Do we have to carry it too, or what's?
I'm not sure what you would require of us, but we have a sanctioning body called Autosport National, which is our insurer as well for liability insurance as far as injury and that kind of thing. And we carry general insurance for the location.
I'm sure administration can check that out with you.
Yep.
All right, thank you very much. I'm encouraged.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Communities in Bloom, 5-3, page 29.
Good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Your Worship and councilors and administration. I'm really thrilled to be here tonight because I can introduce to you somebody who's going to come in and sing a new tune for Communities in Bloom, because her name is Melody. And so I want to introduce Melody Wilson to you. She's the new chair of Communities in Bloom, and we're really excited about having her. So I'm not going to say anything more except introduce Melody to you, and you can ask her questions. I think she has a few things she wants to share with you.
Great. Well, thank you. Welcome, Melody.
Thank you for having me. My name is Melody Wilson, and my background is in horticulture. I graduated from Olds way back when. I took the greenhouse management program. Currently, I'm production manager at a small family greenhouse, which is my mom and dad's, and a market garden. We've lived here for about 15 years, my husband and I, and we have 2 small boys. They keep us fairly busy because they play hockey. So recently, this past spring, my husband and I and a council of, I don't know, about 20 people brought in the Alberta Cup. And we are doing that again next year. I was the volunteer coordinator and in charge of 160 people running around to make that a go. I've always been passionate about gardening. It started really, really young. I think I grew my first crop of sunflowers when I was about 5 or 6. I think it's important for people to appreciate, even if they don't know, the basic workings of how to grow a plant and why it's important to have trees, and I think it all adds to a certain amount of pride when you put that in perspective of Communities in Bloom, people who have nice yards and put time into the yards generally care more about where they live and everything else. My goal really is to just continue to do the projects that Robert has started and start up some new ones. I've only been in the position for about a month, so I'm still on a learning curve because I was not involved with Communities in Bloom before. But I really would like to get more community projects started, whether it's community gardens or maybe a mentorship program with some school-age kids. Maybe some seminars and some classes. That would be something that we could do. And I would like some small projects to get started, maybe a tulip blitz in the fall to just kick off my, I don't know, my reign of terror, I guess. I am in the process of getting Communities in Bloom online through social media, just to bring a wider spread of people the information on projects we're working on. And I think it's a really good way to get information out quickly and have the response come back quickly as well. And that's really all I have for you tonight. I just was here to be introduced and meet all of you.
Well, welcome aboard, and it's great to see such enthusiasm. Have you talked to the X Society? They got to do something with that front where the flags are there. They could plant some tulips or something in there.
I can talk to them.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, go ahead.
Well, welcome, Melanie. I assume one of the things you'll be going to be looking for is volunteers. I know your group is always looking for them. So while we're on camera and in public, if anybody wants to volunteer, what's the best way to get a hold of you?
I have the Facebook page started,
Great.
Communities in Bloom Strathmore.
Okay.
Or they can contact me directly at my email address, I guess I can give that.
Well, sure, go ahead.
melody@ppatch.ca.
Great. Thanks.
And will you be, can we put that on the town page? Any other questions, Council? Do we have to have a motion to, no? Everybody, welcome aboard.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, well,
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Look forward to working with you. Thank you, Rob.
6-1 bylaw number 13-14, automated voting system, page 31.
Your Worship, this is just a bylaw that must be passed to allow for us to use the automated voting system, but this doesn't actually use the whole action.
Okay. Go ahead, Council.
Your Worship, I would move that the council give first reading to bylaw 13-14, automated voting systems.
Y'all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried.
Your Worship, I would move that council give second reading to bylaw number 13-14, automated voting systems.
Questions? Go ahead, Councilor Rempel.
Through the chair to administration, these automated voting systems are only used the day of the election, or are they used in the
Revote.
I believe they're using both.
and both? And are they also used at the institutions? At the hospital, at the lodge, at different areas?
They could be used at those areas. I'm not sure how Jennifer has set up the election stations this year.
Apparently, at the last election, they were being used at the institutions. Yeah, there was some concern about that. So we still don't know.
Fortunately, no.
Okay, thank you.
So they were used before?
Not in the institution.
Not in the institutions.
But on the regular
Yes.
polling, okay.
Yeah, we've used that last.
Any other questions? None? Looking for a motion?
You got a second motion. You got a
Okay, sorry. All in favor? Carried.
I move that council give unanimous consent to a third reading of bylaw number 13-14, automated voting systems.
Y'all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried.
I move that council give third and final reading to bylaw number 13-14, automated voting systems.
Y'all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Bylaw number 13-15-15, utility rates and penalties bylaw amendment, page 41.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council.
Hello.
Good evening. Welcome.
This bylaw is just being brought back at your request. We are amending the bylaw to extend the mandatory meter replacement from 10 years to 15 years for commercial properties.
Looking for a motion and discussion. Or, we want 3 readings here tonight, right?
That would be good.
Your worship, I would move that council give first reading to bylaw 13-15 utility rates and penalties bylaw amendment bylaw.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried.
Your worship, I would move that council give second reading to bylaw number 13-15, utility rates and penalties bylaw amendment bylaw.
Any questions from council? Not? All in favor? Carried.
I move that council give third reading to bylaw number 13-15, utility rates and penalties bylaw amendment bylaw.
We don't need a third and final first?
We need unanimous.
Unanimous consent first, yeah.
Doesn't say it here. Doesn't say that here. I'm just going by what I have in front of me here.
So you want unanimous consent?
Okay, well, you have unanimous consent. Must be given for third reading, okay.
Yeah.
You want me to reread it?
Please.
Sure.
I move that council give third, unanimous consent
Yes.
to bylaw number 13-15, utility rates and penalties bylaw amendment bylaw.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Now, third and final reading.
I move the council give third and final reading to bylaw number 13-15, utilities rate and penalties bylaw amendment bylaw.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Just so the public knows, we did have a lot of discussion on this prior to. That's why there wasn't much said.
So the next agenda item 6.3 is another amendment. We have to also amend the water utility services bylaw for the same 10 to 15 years, as well at the same time when we did our new bylaw for our equalized payment plan got sort of taken out when we'd done all of our changes to go to monthly billing. So now we've put this equalized payment plan back into the bylaw. We have been offering it. You council had requested that we still offer that plan. So we have been utilizing that plan, but now this will put it back into the bylaw.
I'd move that council give first reading to bylaw number 13-16, utility rates and penalties bylaw amendment bylaw.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried.
I move the council give second reading to bylaw number 13-16, utilities rates and penalties bylaw amendment bylaw.
Any questions for council, administration? None? All in favor? Carried.
I'd move that council give unanimous reading to bylaw 13-16, utility rates and penalties bylaw amendment bylaw.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried.
Your worship, I move that council give third and final reading to bylaw number 13-16, utility rates and penalties bylaw amendment bylaw.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
This is quite a mouthful.
Yeah.
I'm gonna make the title shorter.
8.1, emergency response pursuit policy, page 59.
We have 6.4.
Page 49.
Page 49, pardon me. I'm over jumped one here, sorry. Bylaw number 13-17, downtown overlay district bylaw, page 49. Apologize.
Your worship, I would move that council give first reading to bylaw 13-17.
You all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried.
Your worship, I would move that council give second reading to.
No,
sorry.
No, we're not
Sorry.
doing that.
Okay. My apologies.
For
Is there-
council's information, we will set a public hearing date once we have the public.
Great. Thank you.
Thank you.
Sorry.
Now I can go to 8.1 policy number 2602, emergency response / pursuit policy, page 59. Welcome aboard.
This is just a policy that needs to be put into place. As some of us have taken our emergency response pursuit policy course, it's something that the Solgen is requesting that the town put into place a policy. And so I'm asking if you can just put this in.
Any questions, council?
No questions, just a comment, Your Worship. I read this over, and it's a great policy, great-looking policy. I really like the direction, especially in regards to pursuits, and that direction, of course, is they shall not happen. So it's a great policy, and I have no issue with this at all.
Did you come about drawing this from other areas, or?
Yes, this is actually our president of the Alberta Community Police Association. He does the EVOC course that we took, Emergency Vehicle Operations. And this was a policy that he had put into place at Provost when he worked there. So after we finished the course, he sent me a copy of his policy. And being the president of Community Peace Officers, it was a very good policy.
Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions from council? Looking for motion?
I move the council accept this report for information. I'm sorry, that the council adopt policy 2602, emergency response pursuit policy as presented.
Y'all heard the motion. Any further questions? Not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you.
Good job, Teresa.
Page 67, Regional IT Collaboration Grant Initiative Participation. Administration are going to speak to this.
Your Worship, this is just a request from our IT staff member to become involved in the Regional IT Collaboration Grant Initiative participation. It doesn't cost anything, but if we get a motion from council, we need a motion from council to participate in this grant initiative, and it will give us access to the information as well as participation in the study if the application is successful. So that's part of what they're asking for is a motion that council to approve.
Looking for a motion, council, and then we can have a discussion.
Your Worship, I would move that council approve participation in the MISA Prairie's grant application to the Alberta Regional Collaboration Program, as well as participation in the study if the grant application is successful.
Y'all heard the motion. Any further discussion? Does this mean he attends a lot of meetings a year? Is that what it also, there's always costs to this stuff, I mean, no matter how you look at it. Or is there meetings, or does he belong to an organization? Is that what it is?
You know what, I'm not sure if there are meetings involved in this. It's just to identify where we can reduce duplication, and it creates kind of a shared learning environment for technology.
Yeah.
So we should save money.
Yeah, I get the sense that this is all done on computer, in the technical world, so
It's like a regionalized training.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, since he's an IT guy, he probably does that on a computer.
Yeah, it's bringing people together and,
Okay.
taking advantage of each other.
Thank you. Y'all heard the motion. No further discussion. If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you. We have now 8-4?
8-3.
8-3, sorry.
71.
Good evening.
Yes, 8-3. Go ahead.
At our June 5th council meeting, council had supported the application for the regional collaboration grant, similar to the previous agenda item associated with the stormwater initiative that we're currently involved with, Rocky View, Wheatland, Chestermere, Calgary, and the WID. In the motion that we'd made on the June 5th meeting, it indicated that Rocky View County would be the applicant for the regional collaboration grant. Since that time, our applicant has changed to Wheatland County, and thus our motion had indicated we would support Rocky View County as the applicant. We just need to update the motion to indicate that Wheatland County. And it was a bit of a tongue twister. I think it was Councillor Sobel that had given the motion that, but it was a specific wording motion or resolution that was needed for the grant application as well. So we've amended that wording for the resolution and would ask that council continue to support the application for the regional collaboration grant.
Looking for a motion, Councillor, since you did it last time, mess it up, can you do it again?
That's an opinion, I think. I would move that it be resolved that we, the town of Strathmore, authorized to participate in an application for the Cooperative Stormwater Management Initiative submitted by Wheatland County under the Regional Collaboration component of the Regional Collaboration Program. And further, that the town of Strathmore, a participant, agrees to abide by the terms of the conditional grant agreement governing the purpose and use of the grant funds.
Y'all heard the motion, so the only thing that's changing is the name, right? Correct. Any further questions from council? Not, y'all heard the motion, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Now we're going to 8.4, Standard Long-Term Form Development Agreement. Welcome.
Good evening, Your Worship and Council. We use a standard long form development agreement. It's part of one of our policies that the town has. And so being a standardized form, it gives us the ability as administration to work with developers and come to agreement rather than bringing every agreement forward to council. The development agreement is part of some of the conditions of a development permit or a subdivision application. And it's used when there's construction of new roads, walkways, water, sewer, storm sewer, electrical power, natural gas, those kind of things. So what we've done is both Jesse and Nazir and Linda and myself have reviewed the existing one that we have. We've gone through it, and then we sent those comments to our lawyer. She went through it and had comments coming back, and so we've incorporated a number of different changes into it to make it more effective, to make it more complete and a little more legal, I guess, than what we're using now.
Questions from council? So in this new one, that involves the developers to pay the deep servicing upfront. Is that what you're saying also?
No. Well, yeah, they pay it up front. Like, it's their responsibility to install it and pay for it in the development where they're going to create the streets, create the lots, whether it's houses or commercial or industrial, that sort of thing. So this is the tool that we use to ensure that the town has or gets the proper infrastructure, gets the proper drawings, get the proper approvals and security to accompany that, through the process.
So the town taxpayers are not responsible to bring service to the site?
Correct.
Thank you. If anything out of the extraordinary would come to council?
Yes.
Can you give me an example of what it would be? And I just don't know anything off the top of my head.
If there was something that we had negotiated that might be beneficial to the town, that might be outside the scope of, the development area. I can't think of an example offhand.
Jesse?
Like a non-standard roadway, maybe on the council.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For approval.
So we can add or delete to this agreement if council requests.
Yeah.
Or you request from council. Am I correct in saying that?
The body of the development remains the same, so the schedules that are attached to it, that's where you have your leeway.
Okay, thank you. Further questions from council? You are looking for?
Like the other thing that we're doing is we're making some adjustments to the policy itself. Some of this is within the policy clause 4.2, just to ensure that there is wording in there to include the submission of as-built drawings. So that when the infrastructure goes in, whether it's water, sanitary, or the road construction, that we do receive as-built drawings, so that we can go back in the future if we have to do maintenance and determine exactly what it was, where it is, what depth it is, and that sort of thing, work material.
Is that new?
Yes.
Okay.
Clause 4.3 is being changed from 50% to 100%, and that's the value of the security. So the way our agreement is being worded is that the developer comes in, gets his approvals, works through the development agreement, installs the water, sanitary, storm, the roads, the sidewalks, the whole, like the whole schmear. Does not come to the town for endorsement of the subdivision, so there's no creation of lots up to that point, and they don't tie directly into our infrastructure. So basically, they're going out into a field and putting the infrastructure in place. Then they come to us and they apply for what's called construction completion certificates, which is the document that says to us that yes, they have, installed the infrastructure the way that it was designed, the way it was approved. At that point, when the construction completion certificates are issued, then the security would drop to 10%. If there's anything that hasn't been constructed up to that point, whether it's a part of a road or the last little bit of a water line or whatever the case is, if they're asking for endorsement, so if they're going to legally create the road right-of-ways and legally create the lots, then anything that hasn't been completed, we get 100% security. So if it costs an additional 100,000 to finish off, then they have to give us security by way of a letter of credit for that 100,000. So we aren't on the hook should anything happen. And usually it's held for a very short time anyways, because they want to push through and they want to get it completed, and they would probably be applying for construction completion certificates and that last little component at the end anyways, and then it would drop down to 10% for the guarantee period.
So two questions on that. First, is that standard procedure with other municipalities?
Yes.
And second, have our local developers has this been discussed with them? I'm wondering if there's going to be any negative ramifications to extending this to 100%.
This is, changing this to
100%.
This is pretty, like from the wording back from our lawyer, she was the one that suggested that it go to 100%. Because it's pretty standard everywhere. If we take 50% and anything happens to the developer, then we potentially would be on the hook if development has been allowed to, if houses have been allowed to, start to be built because of the timing of things, and if something happens to the developer, financially, then we could be on the hook for that last little bit.
Councilor Rempel.
Yeah, through the chair, to Harry. Does this also change how we oversee the construction of the infrastructure, where, example, whereas before we may have had somebody on site during construction to make sure that everything is done to town standards. Will we still have engineering staff or engineers on site to make sure that the town, that all the infrastructure is installed to town standards?
That part of the process doesn't change at all. The design, the approval, the construction, the installation, the reviews, the issuance of construction completion certificates, that whole part of the process doesn't change. The developer is required to have engineers and engineering staff, and they're the ones who are out in the field doing the review. We may have somebody on occasion. We're not required to through the agreement.
Okay, thank you.
What assurance do we have, i.e. the pavement, and this always bothers me, the developers put in, they got approximately 2 years, is it usually to finish the pavement? Is that correct?
If you're talking about off-site levies.
No, he's talking about finishing the pavement.
Finishing the second lift on the pavement. What assurance do we have that gets done? Because I've been told in other subdivisions long before everybody's time here that some of the second lift was never done in some subdivisions. How do we know that for sure that it gets done?
That's part of the 100%, security.
That's 2 years? So that's held for 2 years?
Could be.
Is there a penalty if we allow them to go past the 2 years?
It would, there's clauses in the agreement that kick in where we would have to give them notification, and we give them a certain, like 30 days or something like that to do the completion, unless if there's other circumstances that may warrant like a further extension to the guarantee period before they actually put the second lift of asphalt on. But otherwise, it would be, there's a time frame set out. If they go past that, then there's a notification period or a notice that we have to give them, and that there's a kind of a process that we have to go through. But we have to follow up and we have to enforce it if need be.
Any further comments? I just want to make sure that there's assurance that that's happens. And that our roadway to the subdivision, which we ran into a problem a couple of years ago.
The security that would be held by CCC and FAC on the paving and surface improvements being intended for the completion of that second top lift. That'd be the reason to hold that 10% for any type of failure in the roadway and for that top lift. So if they're told, say for example, if an area had a $1 million worth of paving, or when we issue a CCC or construction completion, we reduce their securities from 100%, I believe, down to 10% as the development agreement dictates, and then we would be holding $100,000 to hold them to the completion of that top lift, and only at FAC would we then release the 10% for the finalization of that top lift and the release of the FAC.
So is this retroactive to every subdivision we have in place today?
No, this would be for any development agreements that we put in place from here on forward.
Council?
Just one more, Your Worship, through the chair, and in regards to the 10%, Jesse, does the amount that's being held back, does it correlate with the amount that it's going to cost for the second lift?
You wouldn't know that.
It's close, yeah. That last, the top lift of asphalt is typically a 40 mil top lift of type 8 asphalt. So it's close in terms of the total cost, because that 10% or the 100% represents the construction of the subsurface as well as then your first lift of asphalt. So 40 mil or thereabouts top lift is close.
But because of developments have been going quite slow, is there provision in here that you guys can extend it without coming to us?
Extend
the finishing of the project, the top, let's use the example, the pavement. There is provisions?
Yeah, the developer can, come to us, like, do it in writing and say, like he needs an extension. And as long as we have the security and as long as everything is, going to, in accordance with the intent of the agreement, then usually we won't have an issue with, extending it out.
Okay.
The last thing I just wanted to make is clause 4.4 is added, and that's with regard to the actual payment of the offsite levies. Council direction, I think in the past, was that it be prorated, either prorated over the lots, or the way our offsite levy bylaw reads is that there's two rates. One is if you pay it up front, it's a little bit lesser rate. If you prorate it and extend it over a period of time, then it's a little bit higher rate. So they can pay for it at the time of an issue or issuance of a development permit, say for example for a house. So when the developer has a sale of a lot to a builder, then he would generate some revenue. Then he could forward the offset levies specific to that lot that have been prorated to that lot. Other developers want to take advantage of the lower rate and they'll pay it up front. And so we leave this to the option of the developer, whatever works best into their financial situation. It doesn't work against the town. Either way works for us.
Is this development agreement include commercial and industrial?
Yes.
Any further questions on council? So you're looking for a motion for
Correct.
Council Rocky?
Yes, Your Worship, through the chair, maybe to Jesse there, just getting back to that paving there, holding back 10% up for up to 2 years. And that top lift is would that be an inconvenience for any persons that purchased houses in there or that are already living in there?
In terms of the completion or?
Yeah, I mean, there would be people living in some of these houses in these subdivisions. They gotta wait for 2 years, maybe. Hopefully that doesn't happen, but they would have to wait for 2 years to get that top lift? Or is that very minor?
It would be minor. You'll see, if you go into some of the subdivisions that we have into, say, for example, Wildflower Ranch, and phase 1 of Wildflower Ranch, that doesn't have the second lift asphalt on the roadways yet.
Okay.
And so it's just a little difference between the road surface and the gutter that you'll notice. But the roads that are asphalt.
Thanks.
Well, it's done for the reason of construction and everything else going on and the settling of the roads.
That's right.
Yeah.
So your manholes might protrude a bit.
Well, they typically will do an adjustment. So they'll set them for the first 2 years, they'll set them at the level of that first lift. And then they'll do an adjustment when they do the top lift, just to raise it up that
Okay.
40 mils.
So you're looking for a motion, right? Is that what you're?
Yes.
And then one motion can handle this, so we don't have to go to 3 and 4 readings?
Policy. Your worship, I move that council approve changes to policy 6602 as follows. Clause 4.2, the words including submission of as-built drawings are to be added after the word infrastructure. B, clause 4.3, 50% is changed to 100%. C, clause 4.4 is added with the following words. Off-site levies will be paid at the time of the endorsement of the subdivision by the town or at the option of the developer, prorated over the lots created in the subdivision area and collected prior to issuance of a development permit to develop the individual lot. Prorated option off-site levies that are unpaid will be updated for the development when the off-site levy bylaw is updated, and D, Schedule A, is to be replaced with the attached development agreement.
Thank you. And I know that this document had gone out to circulation to council prior to this, so they had a chance to read it all. You all heard the motion, all in favor? All right, no further questions, Rutherford? All in favor? Carried. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks, Harry.
8.5 Aquatic Center roof repair replacement.
Go again.
Good evening.
Good evening. Recently, we've had some minor repairs that we've been performing on the Aquatic Center roof. There's been a couple of protrusions in the roof around our air conditioning or HVAC units on the roof that we've had some leaking occurring, as well as above the entryway. So we had secured a contractor to come in and perform those repairs to buy us some time, I guess, in terms of the inevitable replacement of the roof at some point. What we discovered, we had our access point to the roof, and then looking at the roof at the time that the contractors were there to do their estimate for the repairs, was we didn't identify what had occurred. I believe sometime thereafter was a major failure of the roof on the west side of the Aquatic Center. So there's a smaller section of roof on a lower area that is over the washrooms in the Civic Center, as well as the chemical storage room at the Aquatic Center. And a whole side of the wall you can see in the pictures. Basically, there's been some water that's infiltrated on the roof system and has basically saturated the drywall that was in there, along with the insulation that was on that wall. And probably within the last few days, that's fallen right off the side of the wall. So there has been water getting in there. We can see that the drywall material that's there is basically, you can pull it apart with your baby finger. Basically, it's fully saturated. But and then the weight of that pulled that whole section of wall off. But what we also have seen now is that there is some water that's got in underneath that roof and has basically extended beyond what we see in the area that's fallen. The picture that's above the one that indicates where the section has fallen down shows some of the bowing that we also see, the warping of the roof, which would indicate that that area has also been influxed with water as well. So we're not overly happy about the fact that this has occurred, but this is part of our original section of roof for the washrooms at the Civic Center and whatnot. It's not part of our addition that we did here within the last couple of years. It is part of the older roof system. So we got a quote from the roofing group that were performing the work for us, the repair work. They feel that this, they've been able to help us out, and they basically have duct taped it to make it at least watertight for the time being, but that's not going to last for long. And they've asked that we bring it forward as an emergent item this evening for council's consideration. And thus a bit of a budget has been recommended for the capital roof replacement, and that would be to replace the roof itself. What we found when we spoke with the roofing contractor was they recommend when you're coming out from a vertical to a horizontal stretch that you would go out at least 10 feet from the vertical section. And in doing that, this isn't a particularly wide stretch of roof. The roofing material runs east-west. So by the time you go 10 feet, you may as well go the 20 feet to do the whole roofway rather than having a new section here and an old section here, and having to only replace this within the next, say, 5 to 10 years. Basically, is all we would get out of that roof, I would anticipate. But with the water coming in, I think it's best that we open that up and determine what the damage is. And this project budget, as well as the estimate from the contractor, represents worst case scenario. So we have a full replacement of that roof section. If we open it up and find that it's not as bad as a full replacement, there's some things we can do to reduce this cost, but we won't have that information until we actually open it up and do a proper assessment of the roof and what needs to be replaced. But this is a replacement of the Q deck and, or I guess an investigation of the Q decking, the membrane material, vapor barrier, basically a new roof for this section. And then we still also need to address the main part of the roof within the next few years as well. We've done some repairs to extend and prolong that life, but that one is going to rear its ugly head in the next few years as well. So.
Questions from Council Gill?
Through the chair to Jesse. Jesse, will they be using a different method of roofing than what has been shown here, where it looks like it overlaps up the vertical wall? Are they going to change the way it was done originally on the roof?
That would be, speaking with the contractor, the recommendation, the practice itself is not a bad practice with the drip tray and flashing coming over top of the roof material. So they indicated that the practice itself isn't a bad one. What they found is when the roof was installed, the material that's securing the roofing material to the roof, typically you want a bead of that hot material to spill the edge of the roofing material to indicate that there's a good seal. Mm-hmm. They've noted that didn't occur on this roof. And then also, I went up myself and was up on the roof taking the pictures that are in the agenda. The installer missed all the studs on the drywall material. So there's metal studs there that the drywall should have been secured to and wasn't. So what probably happened is some water got in, and that was enough to pull it out enough to let more water in, and then that whole thing just fell right off. So the installation is not as good as it could have been, I would say. It's not negligent, I guess. There's just a few studs that were missed, and that piece of drywall could have been on there a little better. So.
Okay, my second question through the chair to administration, is this repair project something that has to be tendered out, or is this just something that we decide that this company is the best one? I'm not sure of the procedure. Are we supposed to tender out repairs for a roof?
The threshold for our commitment through the agreement that we have with BC, Saskatchewan, and Alberta, the New West Trade Partnership Agreement, is $200,000 for a construction project. This is less than that requirement, and I believe there's also clauses within our tendering requirements and policies related to emergency items that because this contractor is mobilized and that there is a sense of urgency with with this repair. The time to tender and award and that type of activity would take at least a few weeks to advertise and get additional quotes. The contractor that's been performing the repair has performed multiple repairs on the roof, both for us as well as for Golden Hill School Division on the high school side of things. The pricing that we've received on the work that was performed recently was reasonable, and we received 3 quotes for the work that we awarded as well. So, so it's a fairly familiar company to us in that regard, and based on being an emergency item, I believe that negates that responsibility, as well as the $200,000 threshold for tendering.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Your Worship. Through the chair, I don't know if we want to call it negligent or not, but it seems somewhat negligent to me to be missing studs and not putting the bead down. Have we considered an insurance claim on this at all?
I've spoken to our Director of Corporate Services regarding a potential insurance claim. He feels that because we did accept the installation at the time of our construction, there wasn't a single event that would have contributed to the failure of this portion of the roof. He doesn't feel that it's going to be eligible for an insurance claim, and that was a conversation I had with him this morning. So we can look into that further if it's something that
I'm wondering
council
if we
wishes
shouldn't be talking to somebody from the insurance company.
Any further questions or not? I got a couple of comments. How old is this portion of the roof?
I believe this was installed with the opening of the Civic Center / Aquatic Center, and maybe.
So there's nothing to do with the add-on portion of the.
No.
Okay. And how do we know that? I see you got some figures here, but I don't want you coming back and we're going to start doing this, and then we find out down below that there's damage of some sort. Are we? You checked all it out?
We haven't seen a significant, like in the washrooms down below in the Civic Center, we haven't seen significant damage below. So we're anticipating that it's been somewhat held to that area, damage-wise. And the quote that we have received is representative of replacing the whole thing. So I've also added a 10% contingency to the budget itself. So there is approximately $7,500 for in the event that we run across something else that we open up. But the contractor has quoted on it based on a worst case scenario with a replacement of the entire roof, and in having looked at the area underneath and not seeing any real evidence of damage below, thinking that it would be limited to the insulation and decking potentially on the roof system. So I guess that represents a worst case scenario as it is today. It may be that there could be more damage, but we can't really, I wouldn't recommend a $200,000 budget to complete the work. It's just, we won't know until we open it up.
Thank you. Councilor Hamilton?
I guess there's no such thing as a warranty left on this, is there?
I think it's beyond the warranty claim for us, unfortunately.
Thank you.
And I guess time is of the essence on this one.
Yes, yeah, that, we can continue to have the contractor come back to patch and repair, but that could fail in the wee hours of the morning in the middle of a rainstorm, and we
cause more damage.
Cause more damage than may have already been done. So,
looking for motion from council.
I move that council create a 2013 capital project for the Aquatic Center roof replacement in the amount of $83,000 with the funds to be drawn from the Financial Stabilization Reserve.
You all heard the motion. Any further questions or comments? If not, all in favor? Carried. Thank you.
I move that council award the 2013 capital project for the Aquatic Center roof replacement to CINL Roofing 2008 Limited in the amount not to exceed $74,750 plus GST, and the mayor and CAO be authorized to sign the agreement on behalf of the town.
You all heard the motion. Any further questions? If not, all in favor? Carried.
Thanks, Jesse.
Thank you.
Thank you. 8-6, Wheatland Fire Dispatch, page 146. You all read the letter that came in the email this morning. Comments from council? Councillor Sol.
Well, Your Worship, I appreciate Mayor Burke is looking for a response as quickly as possible. Unfortunately, we have a study being undertaken right now by our fire chief that's due back to us in September, and there's other information that I'd like to see before making a final decision in regards to costs for various choices that we may have. So. I'm not prepared to make a decision in regards to this at this time, and I'd be recommending that we put this over to September after we get our report from the fire chief.
Further comments?
I agree with Councillor Sobel. I'd like to see more information in regard to this, especially the fire chief's report.
So we'll table in September for more information. Thank you.
I guess we need a motion on it, Your Worship.
Do you want
a motion?
As far as information?
Move that we receive this for information only at this time.
Thank you. All in favor? Carried. Councillor Fuel 87.
This is actually just a statement of interest. I had a resident ask me, and I'm glad Teresa's here. It's the, sorry, but I think it's a fairly straightforward one. The resident again is expressing some concern about a lot of speeding and running the stop sign on Hillview Drive. And he's talking about a specific motorcycle that's seen often, so it's something that he would like to know if they can get a little more patrolling or monitoring of that road. And it's right around the three-way stop, people going through that three-way stop right by the playground. That's it.
And I understand that you have been monitoring the three-way stop at the Cambridge Glen at the end going into there. So that be noted that you're going to continue to do that.
Yes.
And Oxbow.
Yes, I still
And
reports to Linda in regards to that.
Okay.
And I did give Linda a report of Cambridge from yesterday.
Thank you. I just want to bring back 5.1. I guess it's going to be tabled as information, and administration handle it accordingly as per status quo. 5.1, since they weren't here to present.
Yeah.
Pardon me? You're going to handle it accordingly, just as normal? Okay. Any other council suggestions, committees? Nothing from councillors to administration?
What are we on, which one?
And, 11. Go ahead.
Yes, Your Worship, maybe I can direct this to administration, the Kinsman Park pathways. I have a few seniors that walk that thing 5 or 6 times a day. But he mentioned to me this morning, quite a few of the poplar trees in the park are losing all their leaves. Seems to be a lot of butterflies flying around. Is this something maybe parks could look at? Or if they can spray it with something or do something with it?
Yeah.
I haven't seen it myself, but apparently the leaves are all falling off the poplar trees.
Caterpillars.
We got a new arborist, don't we?
It'll be caterpillars.
Willow trees are, willow birch are experiencing the same.
Oh, are they?
Could be the dragonflies.
We do, go ahead.
Since you're talking about the pathway, I've had a lot of compliments about the paved pathway. People really like it, so I'm glad we did it.
Yeah.
I understand we have a new chairperson that we can't announce until September for the plus 55 games, and her name will be announced in September, at the first meeting in September.
Cool.
And she's already going up to Barhead with me next week, or us, whoever's all going, to accept the flag from them to here.
Good.
And I don't know if there's a torch that I have to walk all the way back.
Run.
Run. I expect you guys along the road.
I'll be right with you.
Have I handled everything? No other questions, and looking for a motion for, oh, by the way, Councilor Best couldn't attend because of personal matters tonight. Other than that,
Move to adjourn.
all in favor? Carried. Thank you.